So good morning. My name is Chris Rodgers. I'm the CEO of Sinetech. We're a company that's been around for some 20 odd years now, since 95, so 25 in fact. My partners and I have owned the company for the last 5 years. Obviously an acquisition that we made with a view to obviously solar power, which has become a very big thing in the world, as well as standby power. So Sinetech is very strong in the energy storage space and have been, I think the original genesis of the company was actually more with UPSs, and the solar kind of came later. So a little bit of some of the history of the company. We've been involved mainly as a distributor of products, and then as we've evolved, we've realized that a lot of the dealers that are in our channel don't have all of the expertise necessarily that they require to install the solar and standby system. So we did two things. We created a pool of services that could support them in the field. So for example, if an installer was good at actually mounting solar panels on a wall, on a roof, then he could do that, and we would do the actual installation of the inverters and the cabling and fusing and whatever the case, or whatever they required. The other thing that happens in a solar installation is there's a design. So think like when you build a new house, that's the scale of what the design involves. So in a new house there would be structural components, electrical components, whatever. We have the same challenges in the solar space. So really the suite of services was designed to be complementary to our dealer network, so that if they needed additional support, we had it in-house to help them. We also give them access to all of our demo facilities and technical support and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that we did. The second thing that we did was really to build out a comprehensive courseware to teach people how to do what we do. And it obviously goes in stages and segments. And so we have developed some very good courseware. We partner with Max Solar, which is one of the biggest trainers in Africa on PV solar power. So collaboratively we have probably better knowledge than they do around the storage area, and they have obviously extensive knowledge around the solar. And just to discern between what I mean by photovoltaic. Photovoltaic is the solar that generates electricity, as opposed to thermal solar, which is the stuff you use to heat your swimming pool or to have a geyser, solar geysers. Those are thermal solar solutions. We don't get involved in that. We're an electrical engineering company at heart. In the midst of these times, in COVID-19, as when I'm talking to you, we're seeing the world change dramatically. We're seeing a lot of stuff changing, and we don't even know what the world's going to look like post-COVID, and 6 months down the track and a year down the track. But certainly we know there's going to be substantial changes, and I think we need to be adaptable to those changes. Some of the things that I have read, I'm certainly not an expert in this space, but particularly the financial markets and the way they operate, and the things that they do will change fairly dramatically. We've seen the markets melt down dramatically over the last 2 months, and I think a lot of people must be very concerned about their pensions and the money they've worked very hard for, and certainly the big investors must be very concerned about their future. So no doubt, we always do as mankind, we always do muddle through and work things out. But change, I think, is certainly something we can expect, and fairly dramatic change going forward. It got me to thinking about how it's going to affect our business, and what can we do to help people. And I think things remain the same in terms of providing inexpensive electricity, providing backup power. That will become a very significant thing now. If we're going to see a lot of the teleworking, such as we've all been doing in the past number of weeks, electricity is going to become very, very critical. Given the challenges that our national utility has, Eskom, we know that when we go back to work, that the load shedding cycle will start again. Now, if we're working remotely and you lose 4 hours a day, that's half a day's worth of work on average. Less than ideal for any of us. So power is going to become that much more critical. Similarly, we know that Eskom has clearly not been selling very much electricity of late, and that's really an effect of industries being closed down. So that's going to add to their financial woes, which, if they're not big enough at 450 billion, well, they're going to get probably even bigger. So there's certainly a lot of change that's got to come there, but the one absolute inevitability is that they are going to increase their tariffs substantially going forward. So it just builds the case, the business case for solar that much stronger, both in the commercial and industrial space as well as in the residential space. We've done probably more residential solar than just about any of our competitors in the recent past through our dealer channel, and that's just not really by design, to be honest. It's just how it's happened, and the class of products that we use are certainly not the cheap and cheerful products. It's for the long range, and hopefully those systems will be in on those very high value homes for a long time, 20, 25 years, maybe 30 years. But I mean, if you just look at solar from an investment perspective as opposed to the classic investment, so if you were invested in some fund, equities, property, you can expect somewhere between 5 and 10% per annum return. And that's okay, you're getting a decent return, but we think that's going to drop now, given what's just happened to us. And now, if we look at solar as an option, and as an investment vehicle possibly, and possibly through a Section 12J company, which is very tax efficient, it could become a very appealing way to invest your money. We did a comparison of 100,000 Rand invested today, assuming the various returns from the various asset classes, and we found that solar outstripped them by miles. So where your typical asset classes are giving 5-10%, maybe if you're very fortunate and you've even got some offshore stuff, you're in the teens. The net result is that solar, given that Eskom is going to get more and more and more expensive, over 20 years will give you somewhere in the order of a 40% return on your capital. So it's really a no-brainer. And I think even if you don't have the money to invest in solar, if you're not a person who has surplus cash, I think to find a way to put solar onto your home is going to become a very key thing to do. Now, some of the good things we've seen happen going forward is that we've seen the repo rate and hence the prime rate drop, and of course that means that people are paying less on debt, and particularly on bonds, which is usually your largest debt that you have. So this could be an opportunity, albeit that you still have the same income that you had before, and I know many of us won't have, but assuming that you do, that discount that you're getting on your bond, and I use the word advisedly, should or could be used towards funding putting solar onto your home. It could be some of the smartest money that you've spent, particularly at the current interest rates. So if you had 50, 100,000, 150,000 in your bond, depending on the size of your house and depending on the requirements, you could actually use that, make the same payment that you'd be making prior to these reductions, and use the additional cash in your bond to fund electricity. This becomes a very, very important thing, particularly when you get to my age, and as you can see from my hair that I'm approaching retirement age. And what worries me in retirement, of course, is the fixed cost of living. So things like, not that they're fixed, they go up every year, trust me, but the things like electricity and water and the basic things that you have to pay every month. So we can cut back on certain things in our lives. We can cut back on how often we go on holiday. We can cut back on how well we eat, not have as expensive a car, not travel around as much. We can control those things. What we can't control is the price of electricity, the price of water, your rates, things like that. And those things are the things that we should worry about, because they're not really ever going to go away. So if you can provide for that now, that would be ideal. Additionally, what we see in our business is a lot of our standby systems go to retired people, and that's because retired people tend not to go out that much. They really live at home pretty much most of the time. They may even be in a retirement village, and things like television and the internet are really, really important to them for their entertainment, for communication with kids who are overseas. So standby power is also an important part in your retirement years. So I just wanted to give this as an introduction to the first of many in this series of YouTube videos. And so in the next video, I'll actually get into some of the financial business cases and talk about some of the other stuff that we need to consider, bigger stuff than just ourselves and our investments, but things like our environment and how we can make a difference in terms of carbon emissions. Thank you for watching.